Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're turning our attention to RRI Global Consulting Group.
Hmm.
Our sources paint them as, well, a consulting firm covering business, management, organizational, financial, and representation.
Quite a range.
Yeah, and with a strong focus, it seems, on Latin American businesses. Plus, they've got a pretty significant international presence.
Right. Locations mentioned include Puerto Rico, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Uruguay, Ecuador.
And here in the U.S., too.
Yeah, definitely got reach.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to get beyond just the description. We want to understand what RRI actually offers. What might be really relevant or insightful for you if you're thinking about expanding your business internationally.
Especially within those Latin American markets or
Yeah.
maybe trying to enter the U.S. market from there.
Exactly.
Well, what jumps out sort of right off the bat is that wide range of consulting areas. It's not just, the number side. They're looking at structure, management, the whole picture, it seems.
And that specific focus on Latin businesses, combined with the international footprint, suggests they're probably tackling some very specific cross-border challenges.
Yeah, things that maybe a more generalist firm wouldn't focus on quite as much.
Okay, let's dig into some specifics then. Their website mentions 24 years of experience in consulting.
That's a decent amount of time. Seen a few cycles, presumably.
They list those core services we mentioned:
Mm.
business, management, organizational, financial, and that interesting one, representation consulting.
Representation consulting. Yeah, that one's worth pausing on.
What do you think that entails exactly?
Well, especially thinking about international expansion, it could mean more than just advice. Maybe they actively represent the company in new markets.
Like acting on their behalf.
Possibly. Think about navigating different regulations or, building local relationships. Having someone on the ground representing your interests, that could
Yeah.
be huge.
Makes sense. They also really stress making the consulting experience excellent and easy, and adapting to your, quote, busy schedule.
Which every business owner feels, right? That time pressure.
Definitely. So that message probably lands well.
Their big goal, it looks like, is enabling, well, everyone to compete in the market and making transactions smooth.
That's a pretty bold claim.
Mhm.
How do they approach that, practically speaking?
I think it ties into something else they mention, providing financial advice after they've analyzed the business.
Ah, okay. So it's tailored.
Seems like it, not just a generic playbook. They likely dig into the company's financial situation first, understand that, and then figure out the best strategies for growth or market entry, sort of leveling the playing field, maybe.
Right. Makes sense. Okay, well, what about the people, the team behind RRI?
Yeah, they talk about their experienced people and a corporate team.
We found a list of key personnel and it really does show that international spread. You've got Efrain Medina as president and CEO.
Okay.
Edwin Morales is VP of Business Representation, ties back to that service.
Right.
And then a whole lineup of executive directors in specific places. Alexander Calderon in Ecuador, Ulises Suarez in Mexico.
So country-specific leadership.
Exactly. Ronald Paredes in Peru, Silverio Ortiz in Denver, Colorado.
Ah, U.S. presence there, too.
Yep, and Gamaliel de Hoyos in Florida.
Florida makes sense, given the Latin America connection.
It really shows a significant local presence in, quite a few key markets.
And that's more than just pins on a map, right? Having leaders actually based in those markets, that gives them real-time insights. They'll understand local dynamics, regulatory shifts, cultural stuff.
Things that can make or break an expansion effort.
Totally. If you're looking at Peru, for instance, having someone like Ronald Paredes there, that's probably invaluable local know-how, much more than a firm based entirely elsewhere could offer.
Good point. We also see Hernan Murillo listed as brand manager,
Okay, interesting.
and it mentions his own branding work, Black Brand by Hernan Murillo, with a website link.
So they're focused on branding, too. It suggests they see the value of a strong brand identity, maybe for their clients as well as themselves.
Seems likely. And finally, Eve Castillo as Assistant Corporate Office.
Right. The dedicated brand manager role, though, that does underline how important brand is perceived in that global context. You need that consistent message, that recognition, especially when you're entering new places. They probably weave branding into their wider advice.
So why might a business choose RRI? What's their pitch?
Well, they promise innovative and personalized solutions. Standard consulting language, perhaps, but
But they also highlight helping businesses boost productivity, increase profitability, and importantly, avoid obstacles.
Which is what everyone wants, yeah. Avoid the pitfalls.
But what caught my eye was this dual focus. They mentioned achieving business goals, but also maintaining client motivation.
That's a bit more nuanced, isn't it?
Yeah, it recognizes that expanding internationally, it can be a tough slog, a long process.
Frustrating sometimes, I bet.
Exactly. So having a partner who gets that psychological side, keeping the team driven, that could actually be a real differentiator.
Interesting angle.
Okay, let's talk resources and events. They've got something called Revista RRI Global Consulting Group.
Like a magazine.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Aimed at entrepreneurs, business owners. We saw digital editions going back to January 2022.
Okay, so fairly consistent output.
Yeah, latest were August and February of this year, 2024. And you can read or download them.
A regular magazine like that, it's a good way to show expertise, provide some actual value. It's more than just advertising. Shows they're actively thinking about these topics.
Right. They've also done international webinars. One was titled Export Icon Exito AEU, successfully exporting to the U.S.
Okay, very targeted.
Yeah, for businesses wanting to get into the U.S. market.
Yeah.
Focus was on minimizing risks, understanding logistics, finance, the practical stuff.
It's on a major pain point for
Right.
sure. Exporting to the U.S. isn't simple.
And it was free back in May 2021, streamed on YouTube and LinkedIn Live.
Offering it free is smart. Positions them as helpful, builds some goodwill, lets people get a taste of their expertise without commitment.
There was another one too, Logistica e Normativa FDA.
Logistics and FDA regulations.
Exactly. Two key things for entering the U.S. market successfully. This one was aimed specifically at Latin American companies.
Focusing on FDA rules,
Yeah.
that's very strategic. It shows they likely have specialized knowledge there, which is crucial for food, pharma, that kind of thing.
A big hurdle for many. This was also free on LinkedIn Live in February 2021.
That kind of specific, targeted expertise can be a real draw for the right kind of business.
They also have a section for videos corporativos, corporate videos. Titles like Presentación de Marca, Brand Presentation, and RRI at Texas.
Right. Video can give you a better feel for the company, maybe the people. More personal than just text. Probably introduces their regional setup, like in Texas.
Okay, shifting to some practical information.
The nuts and bolts.
Payment methods, they take cash, checks, credit cards, standard stuff, convenient. Business hours listed as Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Although, interestingly, near this info, it says 20 years of experience.
Oh. Didn't we see 24 years earlier?
We did. It's a small discrepancy, but, worth noting. Websites sometimes have bits that aren't perfectly synced up.
Yeah, happens. A reminder that details matter, especially for a consulting firm emphasizing precision, but likely just an update lag.
Probably. Their contact info is pretty thorough. There's a main corporate number
Okay.
and direct email and phone numbers for the CEO, Efrain Medina, and a VP, Jose Rentas.
Makes it seem accessible.
Yeah. And a physical address, 142 Mechanic Street, Southbridge, Massachusetts.
A U.S. base.
With slightly different hours listed there. Weekdays 9 to 4:30, and even Saturday mornings 9 to 1.
Okay, some weekend availability.
And finally, they've got the usual social media links, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube.
So they're visible online, engaging through different channels. Modern approach. Lets potential clients connect easily.
Right. So wrapping up this deep dive, RRI Global Consulting Group really presents itself as a dedicated partner for businesses.
Especially Latin American businesses.
Yeah, particularly those looking to expand internationally, with a clear focus on the U.S. market access.
They offer that broad range of consulting business, finance, org structure, and that key representation piece.
They highlight their experienced international team on the ground.
And resources like the magazine and those very specific webinars show they're trying to share knowledge.
Their core promise seems to be, really empowering businesses to compete and grow globally.
Looking at it all together, it feels like RRI is trying to bridge that gap between just giving advice and actually helping implement it. The focus on representation, the webinar topics like FDA regs and logistics, the international team, it all points towards pretty hands-on support for navigating cross-border business.
Yeah, practical help. Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener. When you consider RRI's mix of strategy and that kind of practical on-the-ground support, especially focused on the U.S. and Latin American markets, what specific challenge or maybe opportunity in your own business's international plans could most benefit from that kind of external expertise and, that global perspective?
It's definitely something worth thinking about as you plan your next moves.